welcome to Winging It and Winning, a podcast show where you will be motivated and encouraged to follow your dreams. Hi everyone, it's me, Veronica, and we're on episode 16. Thank you so much for everybody who's tuning in today on my podcast, whether it's through the podcast app where you get your podcast from or YouTube. I really appreciate it. And I'm up to 90 subscribers. So thank you to everybody who's subscribed so far. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. In celebration of Mother's Day, I thought it would only be right to interview the woman who has impacted my life and who has made me who I am, and just learn her story. As some of you guys may know, on episode 4, I talked about a little bit about my mom and how it was growing up with somebody who was addicted to drugs. And I thought it was only right to share my mom's sobriety story and her story of survival, and also to talk a little bit about what she's taught me through her life experiences. And so please help me welcome my mom, Barbara Jean Diaz.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Mom. Thank
Excited.
you. You're excited?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. I know you're nervous, and I know that it's one thing for us to always talk and have fun, but it's another when you're in front of the camera.
Like, I'm a talker. Why am I so nervous?
I know. It's normal. I mean, I'm nervous too. I get nervous during every episode, but it's all about facing the fear. Maybe we should do this more often, so that way eventually you won't be nervous. You have to do it until the nervousness is away, right?
Okay.
And so let's get into it, Mom. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, and how many siblings? Like, tell me about your upbringing. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Riverside, California. I'm here in Riverside, up at Riverside Community Hospital, actually, and lived in Moreno Valley practically all my life. Went to Sunny Mead Elementary, Alessandro Junior High, and Moreno Valley High School. Graduated from Moreno Valley and attended Cal State San Bernardino.
Yes, you got your nursing degree.
My LVN nursing. Yeah.
LVN, yeah.
At that time, it was like a 4-year class. I think it's now 3 years. But yeah, it was 4 years.
Awesome. So you were also in the helping profession.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you went to nursing school, how was it back then? Like, nursing school, was it impacted? Because now, like...
It was very small back then. I see the college now, I'm like, wow, it wasn't that huge. I remember it being near Patton State Hospital. I was like always saying, that's where I'm going to work. And it was very small. I was very young, when I attended, because I actually graduated a year early from high school and went immediately into college. I never thought I was going to be able to go because, of course, my parents weren't going to be able to afford that. But there was a family that were my mentors all through me growing up in high school. They were there for my graduation, and they're the ones that got me into the school. So
okay, good. So mentors helped you out.
Yes, the Gregos.
The Gregos. Oh, shout out to the Gregos.
Yeah, they both passed now, but they were a loving family.
Yeah. That's awesome, Mom. Yeah. That you still remember their name and what they did for you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So you went to college, you got your LVN, and where did you work after school?
Right after school, when I did my internships, I did some in mental health. I did some at the Riverside Community, Riverside General, Loma Linda, but my heart was always with mental health, and I wanted to go straight with Patton. It was really hard to get in because you have to, when you get interviewed for Patton, you get interviewed in a panel. It's not like you go and you talk to one person. There's a panel. I think there was, I'd have to say 6. And then from there, there's like 3. And, you have different steps to get in there. And being a new student, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but I was accepted, and it was really, although I had to also start other classes for mental health, so to learn the mental health part. So it's exciting.
Yeah. I have friends that work there.
Yeah. It's funny because I have a cousin, and her husband I seen at a wedding, at my grandma's birthday party, and he was like, what are you doing here? And I go, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm married to, and he's married to my cousin. We worked together at Patton State.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, so you got your LVN, worked at Patton after school. You've also worked in real estate for a couple years, right?
At mortgage, Riverside Home Loans.
Riverside Home Loans. And like I was telling you the other day or earlier, that when you were working at Riverside Home Loans, that's when I was old enough to understand, like, oh, that's my mom, and how you dress so professional, and you were like filing away the paperwork, and you just look so like so professional. Like, I just was in that moment like, dang, I can't wait till I'm older so I can file papers. And it was such a cool thing to do. You know, when you're little, you don't know any different. You're just like, that looks really cool to do.
During that time, everything was paper.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now everything's
computer.
Yeah.
Something I have no knowledge of sometimes.
Well, you do know how to.
I do.
You do. Yeah. And as long as you can get on YouTube and support me,
hey. That's it. That's I can do my job at work. That's
all you need, Mom. I'm just joking. Okay, Mom. So how old, how did you get into drug use? Like, when did that happen? Because like I said, you were in high school, you graduated early, you were in cheer, you were a good student. You went to Cal State San Bernardino, got your LVN, you worked at a Patton State Hospital, then you worked in what is it called? You worked in a mortgage, at a mortgage company. Now, and then eventually, how did you go from doing that to using substances and abusing drugs?
I really don't know how to say how I started in the beginning.
Yeah, like how did it start?
When I moved to Riverside, when we bought our home in Riverside, and I met a couple of people that introduced me to it. I did get high a couple of times with them, but then I said, this isn't for me. I left it alone. But after your dad and I divorcing, leaving each other, because we didn't divorce until like 5 years after we left each other. And I think I was more lonely, so I wanted to hang around with all the crowd, and they were all doing it. So that's how I got addicted to it. It just never stopped, And then finally, It wasn't like an everyday thing at first. I still did what I needed to do for you kids as much as I could. But I made choices that if I had to do over with, I wouldn't do, of course. But sometimes when, I think about it and I think, why didn't I make those choices? But when you're on drugs and you want to, and you're doing them, those thoughts don't come to you. You don't stop and think, oh, should I do that line today or no? So it's just like it's there, you're going to do it. I had to learn the hard way. I put you kids through so much. And even when my Freddie went to stay with the grandparents and I went to Teen Challenge, the first time, because I did go through Teen Challenge twice for my addiction. The first time when I got out, I went and I did an internship in Bakersfield. They hooked me up with an apartment, and then after my internship, I got offered a really good job, and I was able to move out of the Teen Challenge apartments into my own apartment. And so I was very proud of myself. I'd get Freddie on vacation times. He'd go there with me. But then I got a phone call one day and said, we need you to come here. And I thought, oh, wow, I'm going to go with Freddie. Yeah, I'm going to quit my job, sell my furniture, and I'm out of here. And I was clean. And I'm not going to, it was easy when you're on drugs to blame other people. We all have choices to make. I made bad choices. In every situation, I made the bad choice. So, like, I was there and I would tell his grandma, okay, I've been here so long with you. I'm going to go ahead and get Freddie back. And that's when I would get kicked out. So now I can't get my son. So what I did was run to the drugs. And I continued doing them until I landed back up into challenge again.
Yeah, so your trigger was just, once it got too hard, like, once
I ran.
You ran. Once it was like
the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it was an escape for you.
Yeah.
Like, just
Yes.
might as well. And what was your drug of choice?
Methamphetamine.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, so you were on and off since I was in 3rd grade.
Yes.
And so I remember as a kid always knowing my mom uses drugs, but not knowing the name, not knowing what that looks like, not knowing anything about it, because I was only in 3rd grade. I was young.
Yeah.
But kids know. Like,
Oh,
we
yeah.
have this intuition. Like, you would go to the restroom and I would go and look where your feet are at, and they wouldn't be by the toilet. You know what I mean? It's that kind of, we search for things and clues, and we are constantly like little inspectors. Like, kids are the best inspectors. They're the best, what is it called? Not inspector, but we're like the best detectives. Detectives. Like, we know when we're being lied to. And at that, your face is being covered by this. No, it's okay. Oops. Hold on. There you go.
There.
Okay. We know when we're being lied to. There you go, Mama. We know when we're being lied to. So I remember a lot of the times I would have, even as an adult, or not an adult, but as an older young lady, I would be pissed off at you for no reason, or just have mean attitude, or just rude. But it's just because I knew you were lying.
Exactly.
You know, and I know that any kid who's had a parent on drugs can relate, because it's that constant, also like broken promises. Remember I asked you, Mom, like, yes. Mom, why did you always lie? Like, why couldn't you just be forthcoming when it came to, of course, no parent, and even me being a step parent, you know, if I'm doing something, of course I'm like, oh yeah, I do speed, like, deal with it. Of course not. No. So I understand that, you trying to protect us from that, but I remember you would be like, we're going to go to Disneyland next weekend, and then it would never happen. Or you would have good intentions, probably you would hope it would happen, and it just wouldn't.
And then, as I said, doing the drugs, you forget about all that, and it's sad. It's really sad. I wanted, every time I would promise you kids something, it's because I wanted it so bad, and I really thought I would make it happen. This is why I never, ever, well, Aurora, she says, promise, Nani, and I says, I can't promise you, maybe, mija, I don't know, because I will never do that, and I never use that word, I promise you, you know, because it's not, not good.
Or we would go to Kmart when Kmart was in, like, the thing to do, and, like, put things on layaway. We would put so many things on layaway, and we just wouldn't get it out. You know, things like that. And I only say this because I want, like, I know that there's other people out there that have experienced the same thing that I have. Yeah. Like, it's not to put you down, but, you know, or to say, like, this is what you did to me. Because, again, I've never used those experiences as an excuse to say, like, well, forget it. Like, I'm just going to be like my mom, or I'm just going to do what I want, because on the contrary, those experiences has made me value my words more, because I never want my girls to feel like I'm breaking promises.
Exactly.
It's those experience, Mom, has also, that experience also has made me closer to my Diaz, who were able to step up when unfortunately you couldn't. And, like, you've always taught me to, like, always think of a positive. Like, you were always, like, looking for the positive. And so in this situation, you know, where I didn't have you, the majority of, I had you, but I didn't. Like, I had you, but I didn't have you. The majority of my upbringing, the positive about it is that I was able to get closer to my Diaz and realize that people realize the importance of extended family, and realize how much I was loved, because there were so many people there for me, because they wanted to help me. And that was out of love for you. That was out of love for my dad. That was out of love for us. And so, like, the silver lining in this whole experience is that I was able to see the love of others. Yeah. You know?
I tell people all the time when they said, I can't believe you used to be on drugs, and I go, If you knew my story, I did, and I did this and that. And I'm not ashamed to say it because my story is now, it's my past and now my testimony to help somebody else. So if you're a parent out there and on drugs, remember that addicts, it's not an addiction, it's an illness. I was sick. I was very sick. And as I told you before, this last time I got clean, it was because I was so tired. I was hiding from you kids. Stephen was looking for me everywhere. Santiago was looking for me everywhere, not sleeping. But I was so embarrassed because I was so sick. And I would get sick. If you're on methamphetamines and you don't have the drug, you get very sick. You want to throw up. You want your bones hurt. Your body hurts. Every inch of your body aches. And it was easier for me just to get high than to say, you know what? No, I don't want it. But that last day when I called you and I said, I can't do this. I'm sick. And she thought I had the flu. She went and got me all kinds of medicines. I'm like, it's not the flu. I'm just sick.
I think I knew you were. I knew you were coming off your drugs, but I thought maybe the medicine can help you.
No,
with those aches.
A lot of prayer helped me. I then decided that I wanted to go into Teen Challenge again, and that was the best thing I could have done.
Yes, it is, and also I think from a child's perspective, is tough love. I know that word is like, cringeworthy, like tough love. I know that each person is different, but what worked for me and my mom in my family, I think, was having boundaries. So my mom moved in with me, and that's when she relapsed, because you were fine when you moved in, and then you relapsed. But I think it was because I don't know what causes relapse. I don't know if it was. I don't know what caused it. I don't know if it was what
caused it.
You know what, Mom? I kind of attribute it to this. Sometimes you think, for example, if I'm on a diet and I'm close to losing my 10 pounds that I want to lose and I feel great, I'm going to go ahead and eat that pizza because I've done so good, right? So it can probably, you at that time when you moved in with me, you had your car, you were working in a mental health facility, you had, it was at the time where I bought my house, so you had, a place to come, and you had your own room. It was kind of like your home, because you cooked for us. I would come home and she would redecorate the place, and my mom had free range, and maybe that's what caused you to relapse. Sometimes you think, I can handle it, and then until you can't. I don't know.
I don't even know at that time exactly when or what triggered it, or even where I got it. To tell you the truth, somebody probably came into my life and said, hey, let's get high. I did it again just to hang out, and it became an addiction 7 times worse than from the first time that I had went into Teen Challenge. It was hard. Yeah.
And so how did you feel? Because when you relapsed, I kicked you out right away. How did that feel for you?
I was disappointed in myself that I had hurt you so much. And I just didn't, what did I do? I went to a house where people were living, and I asked them, hey, if I pay you so much a month, can I live here? Yeah, but it's not our house. But I let people stay in the room, so I moved there.
But no, did you feel mad at me? Were you just were you pissed off at me? Were you like...
No, I was mad at myself. Mad at you. Yeah, no, never at you.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering, because sometimes, people have the mentality where, if you didn't kick me out, I don't know, sometimes that's self-loathing.
What does happen with an addict, and it happened to me, I would always say, because my sisters, they loved me so much that they had, and my nieces and my cousin and nephews, they loved me so much that they had to walk away from me, if that makes any sense. And I would not be invited anywhere to their parties, nothing anymore. And I was like, they just think they're better. But that's an addict mentality. I wouldn't want me there either. You know, but at that time you're on drugs and it's everybody else's fault. They all think that they're better than you. Nobody's better than you, but that's just the mentality of an addict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was just them putting up boundaries because, you know, it was hard to be around you. And I remember as a kid, you would do a lot of guilt tripping and make me feel bad for being with my dad, or make me feel bad for going with my tias to run errands or whatever it was. Like when you and Tia Diane would fight, and I would just like go with my Tia Diane wherever she was going to run errands. You know, it was a lot of guilt tripping.
Yeah, and it was just because of my drugs. Addiction. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I learned that at a young age too. Maybe my dad had something to do with it. Maybe it was God. Maybe it was my tias, because they've always told me, like, my dad especially, like, forgive, that's your mom. You need to love her. You need to forgive her. Go visit her. Like, my dad always, you know, would always talk like that's your mom no matter what. Yeah. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I was able to forgive you for just all of the feelings of feeling like, am I not enough for my mom to change? And as I got older and I went to school and I, you know, got my degree, of course, I even got, you know, I even learned about substance abuse, and I did internships. But it's one thing to learn about it and one thing to work with other people who have addiction problems, but it's another to deal with it at home. And so it's hard, even though I knew deep down it had nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. It's hard as a kid to believe that. Yeah. You know, sometimes kids, they blame themselves. But luckily I had a good support system that would always reiterate, it's not your fault. Your mom has an addiction. It's an illness. She needs help, so on and so forth.
And it's crazy how once I got clean and had been cleaned already like a few years, my nephew Jonathan, he always tells me to this day, and I didn't realize what an impact I had on him, but he's always saying, Tia, oh, I love you so much, and I'm so happy that you're clean. My niece Sarah as well, you know. But Jonathan is like, Tia, thank you for, you know, that's my Tia, you know, you're back, you know, and his little smile that he does. But I realized then, man, I go, I'm so sorry. I really hurt them so much as well. You know, not only my kids, but my family, my sisters, my children. And, you know, when I first got clean, I noticed my kids, hi, Mom, how you doing? I love you. And then they pull back because they're scared. And I was like, I know it's just like, how are you today? I love you. And then because they didn't want to get too close too fast, I think, because maybe, I don't know, maybe fear of me going back. I don't know. Maybe intentionally, you guys don't know, but I like, they're scared still. Mom, are you okay? Mom, who's with you, Mom?
Yeah, of course. You go into
and it's okay.
Caretaker mode.
And it's okay if you're a mother or a father and you're out there and your kids are asking questions. It's okay, because it's the love that they have for you, and they're worried, you know, and it's okay for them to let them love on you, let them be worried. I mean, not let them be worried, but let them show you how worried they are for you.
Yeah, because I don't think he ever got mad when we were like, where are you? What are you doing?
No, not at all.
You're always just forthcoming.
Yeah. I know I was getting high, and I remember being at this house, and I called Stephen from there because I knew Stephen was looking for me. So I tell this guy, his name's Eric. He's recently passed, but Eric I go, Eric, I'm going to use the phone. He goes, okay. So I used the house phone to call my son. I hung up when Stephen answered. Well, I went to a motel with some people, and my son called back, and he says, listen, my name's Eric. Your mom was staying here, but I've known your mom since Riverside when he was married with your dad. Listen, this isn't her. She's at this motel. I don't know what room, but she's at this motel. And I was like, why? I went over there. I was somewhere. He goes, I told him, why would you do that? Why would you tell my son where I was? I go, I seen my son going up, and you know, it wasn't in my name, so he couldn't find me. And he says, because this is not you. This isn't you. And I'm like, wow, you know, you care that much? He goes, this isn't you. You're not going to be at my house. You're not going to be doing You know, he knocked a pipe right out of my hand when I tried to smoke, and he goes, "Get out of my house," because he knew me back when I wasn't doing it, and he goes, "This is not you."
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I had eyeballs everywhere, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think those were God's angels trying to protect you and say, "Look, you have a better life ahead of you. Yeah. You have people who love you." Yeah. You know, and you have a daughter who's going to need you in a few years. Like, you need to get it together. And sure enough. I
remember one day I was really sick, and it was my granddaughter Mariah's birthday. And they lived in Paris. And I didn't go. I didn't go because I was sick. I was so sick. And so a couple of days later, I went. I walked all the way over there to their house, and Mariah was so happy. I took her gift, and she goes, "Come here, Nana, come here." And inside her pillowcase, she had left me a cupcake, and it was all smashed and everything. But she goes, "Why didn't you come? Why didn't you come?" Yeah. And that really, like, whoa, that was really sad that she, and her mom had told me she sat at the stairs or kept on looking out. "Where's my Nana honey?" And, you know, so, yeah, we heard a lot of people being on drugs, they pay the price, you know, of our addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we pay the price, but I think that you guys pay your price too. And I think you guys reap what you sow. Yeah. You guys lay in the bed you made.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? All of whatever you can think of, at the end of the day, you're paying for the mistakes you've made, whether it's, you're paying for them. I always say nothing goes, and nothing is free. The damage you do, the damage that happens, and the experiences, negative things that you do, you're going to pay for them eventually. And you feeling guilty, you seeing Mariah saying, "Nana, honey, I got this." Those are ways you're paying for your mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's no, and that's what I want to lead into, our secret, like my secret sauce into being able to have this relationship with you and forgive everything that you've done, or forgive that you haven't been there, or the moments I felt so lonely. Like, at the end of the day, those don't matter anymore, because I forgive you, because I have to look for the positive. You know, people stepped up. I was okay. I was taken care of, you know. And at the end of the day, I can't be mad at you and expect you, or I can't be mad. I can't be, if I don't forgive you, it's going to hurt me more than it hurts you.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if I didn't forgive you, we wouldn't be able to have this wonderful relationship that we have. We wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't have the opportunity to see my mom with her grandkids, and you're so funny, Mom. You're such a good person. You have a good heart. And I think I've always known that it was an illness. It wasn't something you chose to do deliberately. Now, I didn't know that as a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 17-year-old. I didn't learn that until I was in my 20s. Yeah. You know, when I was able to get therapy and able to work through the trauma and the experiences to be where I'm at today with you. Mm-hmm. That didn't come, but that's why it's like, no matter what we go through as kids of parents who have an addiction problem, it's our responsibility to break the cycle, and it's our responsibility to mend our own trauma, because nobody's going to do it for us. Mm-hmm. And me being mad and still staying bitter and still thinking and harboring over those feelings of loneliness and crying and all of those feelings I felt as a little girl aren't going to do me any, they're not going to help me right now.
It's so funny that you say that, because for the longest, up until my grandson Isaiah graduated from school, every graduation I would go to, I would get so mad, because I go, none of my family's seen me do this. My parents didn't come to my graduation. My sisters didn't come. My sister and brother didn't come to my graduation. And I would get so angry, because that was so important to me. Mm-hmm. You know, the day of my graduation, I wanted to walk off the stage, but I didn't. And that day I said, who cares if they didn't come to my graduation? Who cares if they didn't see me graduated from nursing school? I did it. Mm-hmm. No matter what, I did it. And now I I've been able to forgive them. I always said I forgave them, but I don't think I really did because I was still so angry. I remember I told Isaiah, "You're so blessed, Isaiah," because I remember I had to go to my graduation and walk home from graduation by myself, and it wasn't nice. You had all your family here, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
So it wasn't, but you're saying that you can relate because it wasn't until you actually forgave him and said, at the end of the day, you can say, "Oh, I forgive you," but you really have to mean it in order to not let that bother you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I think because I was young, I felt like I'm graduating, and I remember them going to my brother's graduation, had a gift for them, had a party for them, and they didn't go see me graduate. So it was very
that can be hurtful for anyone.
Very hurtful.
Yeah.
And but it's okay. I still graduated, and it was okay.
Yeah.
It's okay now,
But that just happened recently that you were able to forgive them because, like you said, you would go, like graduations or triggers for you where you would go to graduation and you'd get heated. Like, where was my family when this happened? Because it is such a huge milestone. Yeah. But you had to forgive them and mean it in your heart because you holding to that resentment is only hurting you.
I see the circumstances my mom was in and stuff, and she couldn't go. I understand it, and I know she was sorry for that. But, it's okay. But I see kids these days, and they're, I don't know, they need to, how would I say, be thankful because for the ones that have their parents and there for every milestone in their life.
Yeah. And that's what I'm thankful to also because you were there for every milestone. My 8th grade promotion, you were there. My graduation, high school graduation, you were there. My college graduations, you were there. You were there. You were there at each of them, applauding. You were there, cheering me on. But yeah, like I said, you were there at those moments, and I have pictures of us, and I'm so thankful for that. But I just think that letting go of the hate or the anger that I felt when I was little just is what helps me be the daughter to you that I am today. And also, I'm so thankful to the man up above for letting us experience my mom, letting us experience you as you are right now. You're goofy, I always say, like, there's things that you do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom, stop. But then when I'm not with you, I catch myself doing those things, and I'm like, I am so like my mom, like I am turning into my mom. So funny. And so, like, I'm just grateful for that, I think my secret sauce is forgiveness and the power of forgiveness that it has.
Oh my gosh. I would always apologize to you kids over and over and over again, and everybody would say, "It's okay, you already said you're sorry." But then I was reading the Bible, and I'm trying to remember where it said, but we have to learn to forgive ourselves. Before you're ready to ask for forgiveness from your children or family members, whoever it may be, you really need to narrow things out in your life and really, really, really forgive yourself. Because if you can't forgive yourself, you're going to be repeatedly asking for forgiveness from them. So learn to forgive yourself and then go forgive. Another thing I learned, I don't wait for people to ask me to forgive them because a lot of people won't. A lot of people just won't ask for forgiveness. I thought before, man, they throw I'm sorry out, apologies out like if it's nothing, because then they turn around and do the same thing. I learned from some people that I had to walk away from because I just felt they were toxic in my life. Not that I don't love them or don't think about them, don't pray for them, because I do. But I had to tell people, I forgive you for doing what you did. They didn't ask me to forgive them, but I let them know I forgive you. Mm-hmm. And that is just like, whoo, that is powerful,
right? You take it.
So just because, forgive the ones that you need to forgive, even though they don't ask for forgiveness, but walk away if it's a toxic relationship. Just think of them and pray for them and love them from a distance.
Yeah, you can love people from a distance.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you can love people from a distance, but that's exactly what we did when you were on drugs. We loved you. We talked to you when you would call, but we loved you from a distance. And that's why when you moved in with us and I told you, like, okay, you're going to move in with us, but these are the situations. This is the situation. This is how it's going to go. I knew that I had to follow through.
Yeah.
And I love you from afar.
And if you didn't, I don't know what I would have done.
I know, it would have just got worse.
Yeah. But I do, like I said, my addiction, it went from for enjoyment to where it made me sick. I was
from
sick.
Enjoyment to necessity.
Yeah, it was like I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way I was looking. I didn't want to do it, but for like a few years before I got, a couple of years, actually, I didn't want to do it anymore. I was getting so sick. So I continued doing it just so I wouldn't get sick.
Yeah. And I think too, Mom, what helped me too is like we had a strong foundation when we were little. When you and Dad were married, we had mother-daughter dates. We had you would have nice, cute little birthday parties for me. Every school year, every birthday, my mom would take me flowers and balloons to school. And that's why it was so hard to see my mom shift on drugs and how ugly it made her, how evil it made her, because I knew the mom before the drugs until I was in 3rd grade. So it was hard to let go of that, and I think that's why also made it a little bit easier to forgive you, because I knew what you were capable of and I knew what you were like before the drugs. And one lesson for Mother's Day, I think I have told you, but you always, I think that, not you always, but maybe you think that that you never taught me anything, because I do talk about like my dad and like I get it. Like I
talk about your dad.
I'm a total daddy's girl. And you always do give my dad so much props, for everything he's done. But he was being a dad, as he should. He was doing what he had to do for his kids. And I'm so grateful. But one thing I wanted to tell you that you taught me that my dad couldn't teach me is the power of valuing yourself. Now, when you were married to my dad, it was a toxic relationship. There was DV involved. It was ugly. It was ugly. We were always on eggshells, always scared. And luckily, my dad's turned his life around, and he's just a different person. But that's how it was when you guys were married. But when you left, and I was only in 2nd grade, and you left, you pulled us out, and we moved to Grandma's. No matter how bad things got at Grandma's, I will always remember the lesson of don't let anybody treat you less than what you're worth. That's what you taught me. Without saying the words, your actions taught me that. So thank you for teaching me that. Yeah, and don't ever think that you never taught me anything, because there's a lot of things like mother-daughter stuff that I do with the girls. I try to make them feel special. Things that you did for me when I was little, before you got addicted to drugs, that I try to do for my stepdaughters. And because those stuck with me, right? I also think, what would I have wanted my mom to do during these years? And I try to do that. Or what the good thing is I take a little bit from everybody who's been in my life, and that's who makes me me. Yeah, that's who makes me me, is a little bit of everyone. But one thing that you taught me that nobody else could was value yourself and don't put up with anything. And you showed me, because you moved out and you did what was hard. You didn't have a home to go to. You didn't have plan B. You're just like, we're going to Grandma's, and that's it. So thank you for teaching me that lesson. I love you. I
love you too.
Is there any advice that you want to give anybody out there, or any, like, what helps, like, and do you live by a quote or a mantra? What is there anything that you want to share with anyone?
Yeah, I definitely do. Love yourself enough to forgive yourself. None of us are perfect. But you need to love yourself enough to forgive yourself, so that you can move forward and ask for forgiveness to them that you've done wrong. Whether they accept it or not, you've asked for forgiveness. You apologized. You don't need to repeat yourself over and over again, as long as you've already forgiven yourself. Baby steps will get you far. Be honest with your children when they ask you questions, because 99.9% of the time they already know the answer. Love them to the fullest and trust in God. Keep the faith and know that God is always in control.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Mom, for being a guest on my podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. So much. And happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there and stepmothers, grandparents that are raising their children. Happy Mother's Day to you as well.
I'm excited. This year, my mom and I are going to the Grand Canyon. I'm so excited. We're leaving on Friday night, coming back Sunday morning. And it was just an impromptu trip that I decided. My mom is like 100 years old. She doesn't need any. Oh, no, it's just kidding.
What?
I'm just kidding. My mom is at the point in her life where she doesn't need anything else. She already has what she needs. I don't know what else I can get this woman. Like, it's all about making memories now.
Exactly.
You know, 2020 has taught us that life is short. And, you know, one thing that we will always be able to cherish forever, and those are memories. And so I'm going to take my mom to the Grand Canyon, just her and I. I promised her I would stay off my phone. I would be a good driver. I'll make her feel comfortable. And so she's obliged to go on a weekend trip with me.
I'm excited.
And I'll promise, Mom, not to talk back to you, not to have an attitude. I mean, you know, I think it's going to be a fun trip, just you and I.
Very fun.
And very memorable. And because life is short, and I want those memories with you. You're getting to the age where you might start forgetting things. I want to take you before you start.
Probably. I almost forgot. It's funny. I almost forgot to go to work this morning early.
Thought it was Saturday?
Yeah, I thought it was Saturday.
No, I'm so excited, Mom. We're going to wear matching outfits on Saturday. I'm going to have a shirt made for us, maybe that says our first time at Grand Canyon, or I'm with Crazy, and then have her I'm crazy.
I'm crazier.
Yeah.
And I'm with crazier.
Yeah. So we'll see what kind of, if you guys have any shirt ideas, please comment in the comments area of my podcast or my YouTube. If you guys have any ideas of what we should put on our shirts. But I just want to have fun, and I'm excited. So that's it. But Mom, time is one of the most precious gifts you can give someone. So thank you for gifting me with your time today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Fun.
Yeah, you had fun?
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad, huh?
No.
Told you.
God bless you guys, and happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. And thank you guys for tuning in to episode 16 today. I really appreciate it. Today, I shared the power of forgiveness and how forgiveness can help restore a relationship that one might seem doomed, or one might feel like it's too difficult to repair. But once I learned the power of forgiveness, and once my mom was able to forgive herself, we were able to build our relationship again and have this amazing relationship that we have today. So if you liked my episode, please subscribe or download my podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. If you're more like me and you like to watch and you're more of a visual person, head over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel, Winging It and Winning. I want to say thank you so much, and please be safe out there. Have a happy Mother's Day, and remember that winging it and winning is a mindset, and only you have the power to create your best life. Thank you so much, and take care. Bye-bye. Give me 5.